PK52, the Saturday morning meeting. So last week we talked about auto show and creating your own auto show. And one of the things we want everybody to know is the information that normally comes out this time of year is not coming out like it did before. We have all kinds of people at an auto show to talk about manufacturing, to talk about how our cars are better, how they're put together. And that information right now is really not getting out there. So I found a YouTube video from a young man named Anthony Palmer. It's called Made in Kentucky. Really awesome. What he did is he visited the Toyota plant in Georgetown, Kentucky, the first American plant. And he talked to a man named Keith Clifford. And this man has done so many tours in the Georgetown plant that he just knows everything about the plant. Really, really good. I'm going to play some of that today, and we're going to talk about it. So 40,000 people a year, 40,000 people a year tour through the Georgetown plant. For all the sales associates, service associate, and all the management that's watching me right now, gang, if you're going to sell Toyotas and be a part of the Toyota company, you've got to go take one of these plant tours because you'll learn so much about the product that you'll never learn without that tour. So I encourage all of you. There's one in Princeton. You can go to San Antonio. You can go to Georgetown. And all the destinations have something you might want to see in the area. So kind of make it a family trip. I will tell you, if you will take your young children to one of these plant tours, they're going to be immersed. They're going to love it. $7.5 billion investment by Toyota in that Georgetown area. $7.5 billion with a B. So there's a Raku device. That's one of my favorite things on the tour. I'll point it out in a second. And what that does is it allows everybody to be able to work in the car without bending or bending over. It's so much more efficient. So everything that Toyota does is all about efficiency. And you may want to know this before I get started today. There's 2,000 cars a day that come out finalized at Georgetown, Kentucky. 2,000 cars a day. So let's play a little bit of this. Mr. Anthony Palmer does a great job.
But jump in the car and head up the road a bit and you'll find one of the biggest and most modern car factories in the country. I'm taking you on a tour of the Toyota assembly plant. Let's go. Take one step into the visitor center and the accomplishments of Toyota come to life. A Camry pace car and the first Camry to come off the line here in Kentucky is just the beginning to this amazing experience. Keith Clifford has given hundreds of tours here and he's offered to show us around.
It takes about 20 hours to build a car here, start to finish, at the largest Toyota plant in the world. Let me take you out here and show you how we build these cars.
Lead the way.
About 40,000 people took our tour last year.
40,000.
People from all over the world. Total investment by Toyota Motor Corporation here in Georgetown, Kentucky tops $7.5 billion. You are sitting in what is arguably the most comprehensive vehicle manufacturing facility in the world. We make a lot of our own parts right here on our property. That is rather unusual for an automaker to make as many of their own parts as we do. Now we're going to enter stamping. It takes nearly 300 stamped parts to make one single vehicle body shell. This is where it all begins. These coils of steel, they can weigh as much as 24 tons each. You can see how we've cut the blank in the approximate size and shape of the fender it's going to become.
I do. All right, so this is super cool. So many years ago, in the early 90s, I got to tour the plant and I got to find this out. So what happens is, most manufacturers, when they stamp a unibody or stamp anything to go on the car, there's a plant that does the stamping. And then they put the stuff on a truck. The truck transfers it to a train. The train transfers it to a truck. And then it goes to the plant. Well, anything can happen to make sure that gets bent or out of character on any part of that trip. What Toyota's done in their plants is they stamp their own body parts right there, and then they're immediately assembled to the car. So when everybody talks about fit and finish and how Toyota's so great with fit and finish, this is one of the paramount deals that they use. So it starts out as a piece of blank sheet metal, and we're going to play the video in a second, and you'll see the progression. So a stamp comes down, and boom, there's your fender, and then another stamp comes down, and boom, and it's cut. And every single fender is at the exact cut and level all the way through the process. That's why fit and finish is so important. So let's play a little bit more of this.
And then we come down with a chrome-plated die to shape the part. That's called the draw phase. And then we have the trim phase where we trim the excess metal and we'll inspect that part for surface defects. Body weld is where we're going to take these stamped metal parts from stamping and bring them together into a cohesive body.
So they take all those perfect pieces and they put them in a perfect process, and then they're computer laser welded together. Again, so if you build the platform of the car, the unibody, all the components, and they're perfect and the precision is perfect, then the longevity of the car, no squeaks, no rattles. That's why these cars last so long on the road, because the process is done so perfectly at every one of the plants. Let's play a little bit more.
This is where we can stage the parts in the exact sequence they're needed line side. They are 100% ready to have the parts applied to them here in assembly one.
Why do they take the doors off?
Team members can
So we've taken the doors off right here so that team members can get in and out of the car. But think about this. I mean, this is Kentucky, man. There's some big boys in Kentucky. So some of them are getting in this Camry, and it would be hard to be able to get in and out of the car. By the end of the day, your back would be killing you. And so Toyota wants all the workers to be as efficient as possible, and safety is paramount. So watch this next progression.
get parts and supplies closer. They can get in and out easier, quicker, and safer, and they don't get damaged. Now that team member used to have to crawl in and out of that car on their hands and knees. A great example of a raku device.
Why is it called a raku device?
That's a Japanese word that means easy. So anything here in the plant that's going to make your job easier, we call a raku device. That's called the andon tone. See that rope above the line to your right?
Yes.
It's called the andon cord. So reach up and pull it. Help's going to come your way.
Just like that.
Give it a try.
All right.
Okay, so he's going to be freaked out in a second because the line was moving. The line is perpetually moving. Once he pulled that andon cord, what happened was that line stopped. So if you're working the line and you're a worker, now wait a minute. Now you're a worker there and you see any kind of defect or something that really doesn't look right, you pull that, immediately a supervisor is dispatched to you. And they discuss this. If they pull that andon cord a second time, then it's shut down at that area. That vehicle is removed from the line, sent back in the back to be able to be disassembled, and to figure out what happened. That vehicle will never be put back together and never sold to the public. I will tell you for a fact, at a domestic manufacturer, if they know they've got a component or a part that is flawed, they will continue to build the car. Once the car is completely built, they will send it to a building in the back of the plant. They will disassemble the car to get to the part, they'll replace it, and then they'll rebuild the car and send that to the dealership to be sold. Do you want to buy that car? I'm telling you the difference is that if a car is pulled from the line at a Toyota plant, it is studied and never sold.
Whoa, it stopped. Did I just shut the whole line down?
You did it, in fact.
It was me, guys. I'm sorry.
Now, I'm out here Monday through Friday giving plant tours. It never ceases to amaze me. The orchestration, engineering. We are a global operation here in Georgetown. We're shipping cars all over the world.
Roughly how many cars do you think come off the assembly line in a day?
About 2,000 cars a day. These cars kind of progress through the plant like a big worm. They go down one line, they get to the end of it, they go up in the ceiling, make a U-turn, come down the next one. This is the final paint inspection. Now the car is just about finished. We just want to make sure that when we ship this car off site, it does not have any damage to the painted surface. Let me show you where we start and drive our car for the very first time. A team member will get in the car, do an inspection of a few things inside the cabin of the vehicle, then they'll start it and drive it forward into an area we call final inspection.
And so the neat thing about it is even though they drive it over a short period of distance, what happens is they drive it over bumps and they're listening for squeaks and rattles or anything in the car. So I thought it was time on the Saturday morning meeting to show you the Toyota Motor Manufacturing ideology. So we're selling cars every day, and we've got all these rates. 1% is 99.99%, or 2.9%, or 0% for 72 months. But it really all comes back to, what is the value of the car? And they never said associates at the plant. It's team members. And the nice thing about a Toyota plant is, and again, I'm telling you, you need to take a plant tour. But the nice thing about the plant is you don't work at the same job for all your life. You're not the seat belt assembler. You don't put the seat belt bolt in for 30 years. You end up making $25 an hour or $30 an hour to put a bolt in a seat belt. Every team member is encouraged to be able to promote themselves all the way through the plant to learn every single thing, from assembly to paint to final stages, and it always challenges the team member. So if you're challenged, you're always producing at a higher level. So the entire philosophy of the manufacturing plants that make our cars change everything for the consumer. That's why you could tell somebody that the cars will last longer and do more for maintenance-free and dependability driving for the consumer. So I thought it was time to step out, talk a little bit about the unbelievable team members that work in each and every one of our plants. Sell them all. This has been Saturday Morning Meeting, PK52.